All right, with just a few minutes of memory on this, there's a very interesting juxtaposition that I think that now really has to be taken very, very seriously. Fauci, when he botched the AIDS epidemic, note that nobody in polite society was allowed to discuss that something should be done about these people who could spread an illness that to this day is still deadly, that you have to be treated for the rest of your life all the time. You can't not get treated for it. You are constantly taking very serious therapeutic drugs for it. And what's interesting is to see then this article come out about these people. The people want to encamp the unvaccinated, and the rate at which they're polling this kind of that kind of thing. That this is being said openly in polite society, making polite society actually very impolite in many ways. But that nobody would, to this day, we still will not discuss that people with AIDS need to actually be tracked. So we know if they're spreading it to other people. We need to prosecute them if they're spreading it to other people. But, California said, no, it's not even criminal. So really, this drug-addled bunch of people with risky behaviors that show mental and emotional instability, poor impulse control, and sort of a licentiousness that causes them to actually have sort of an inability to fit into society very well at great numbers. I'm from San Francisco, so I've seen this. They don't fit into society in very great numbers, especially if they're not attractive. Gay men that are lazy and unattractive are kind of stupid, kind of average. They end up in usually a very bad way when they get old. They're really quite obviously just old and forgotten. Old, forgotten, and burnt out. And so but it's very important that this never is questioned and never brought up. You are just never to even humor this idea that maybe who needs to be encamped are the AIDS people, the people with the HIV, people with the ARC, all that. No, you need to encamp all these other people. So this really does basically kind of tell us who's in charge of the Democratic Party, who's in charge of the present version of polite society, who's really in charge of all these news, quote unquote, news organizations. That there is the agenda is real, and that it has to do with being a licentious nonce, and that without licentious noncery, that unfortunately, there is no Gore Vidal to brag about anymore, right? In fact, that's really one of the things now is there's kind of a group of people that there's not a lot to brag about anymore for them. It's at one time, lots of women were in love with some guy who, everybody has some friend or relative who went and got knocked up by some guy who later said, oh, it's not that I'm bi, I'm actually totally gay. Because now he has to pay child support. So this is one of these things, after a while, you kind of start seeing through it. And after a while, the agenda becomes absolutely crystal fucking clear.